This is my cooking show. I don't have a cooking show. I just like to cook, and I want to see how it looks on YouTube. So here it is. Today I'm going to make ragu and meatballs. What is ragu? Ragu is a meat-based sauce. In America here, a lot of Italian Americans have the word sauce and they use the word gravy. Everyone knows that gravy is brown and goes on roast beef and turkey. This is ragu, meat-based sauce. So how do you make ragu? The first ingredients that we're going to put in the ragu is going to be chopped onions. Then we're going to have some, maybe a tiny little bit of garlic just for flavor. And we're going to put in the meat base, which in this case is usually it's pork, or some people like to use short rib. These are like short rib tips. So there's bone in there. It's going to give you a nice flavor. We're also going to use some salt and pepper, obviously, and Italian seasoning and oregano for the sauce. One of the other ingredients that we use for the sauce to saute everything is the extra virgin olive oil. This is extra virgin olive oil. This is what extra virgin olive oil looks like. It's very foggy. It's almost green. This bottle, if you bought this in America, should cost you $50, $50. And it should look like this. Otherwise, you're not buying extra virgin olive oil. This is from my family's olive orchard in Molfetta, southern Italy, Puglia. And every year or so, we get a couple of these bottles. And it's very strong flavor, so you want to use it cooking, or you want to use it lightly when you're having it over a salad. But this is the real stuff. And again, if you buy extra virgin olive oil and it's not foggy like this, you're not getting the real stuff, especially if you pay less than $40, $50 for it. A little white wine, which you always have in the fridge left over, and that's how you make the sauce. And the meatballs, it's simple. Some people, I went to my local butcher shop, which I have one, which is awesome that there is one around here now, and it's meat, pork, and veal mixed up, and we're gonna put salt, pepper, oregano. Some people put garlic in the meatball, some people don't. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, we'll see. It's not, and people have this fallacy about Italian food. Everything's covered with garlic and just makes you, that's not how it is. Everything has to be subtle, the flavors pop out. So you don't want to cover everything with garlic. And in the meatballs, we're using Romano cheese, not Parmesan cheese. Romano cheese, nice and a little salty, and breadcrumbs. I typically don't like these breadcrumbs with flavors in them Italian style, because there's some other guy's version of what Italian style means, which means what? It's going to probably have too much garlic flavor in here, too much salt, and too much oregano and Italian spices. I like to use the plain breadcrumbs with no flavor on that you could flavor yourself. But again, this is another fallacy that Italian Americans have all this flavor and pop. That's not how it is. It shouldn't be that way. That's covering up stuff. You want to be able to pull the flavors out of things. Also, somewhere in the meatballs, maybe, or in the sauce, maybe we're going to put, this is known as the diabolique, the red pepper. I think it's called cayenne pepper in America. This is the little horns that everybody wears for good luck. All the Italian Americans from the Jersey Shore to Brooklyn wear these things. This is what it is. Every real Italian American grows these in their garden, and then you dry them out too, and then you put them up and you keep the bad spirits away. And these are dried, and eventually I can cook with them. So, all right, now I'll show you how we make it. First thing we're gonna do, wash our hands and take off all your pinky rings, because you don't need any pinky rings involved in the onion process, in the onion cutting process. And you want to make sure you have a sharp knife. The worst thing you could have in the kitchen is not a sharp knife, because you press it and then it slips out. So you want to be safe with a sharp knife. This might be too big for what I'm doing, but that's okay. So you clean the onion. Take the skin off. One thing that you got to get straight when you're cooking is to not make a mess. Constantly clean while you're making. So I peeled it. Now I'm going to get rid of this. So when you cook onions, you want to make sure that you're keeping in mind how long they're going to cook for. And if you're going to cook stuff for a longer time, you want to cut bigger pieces so they don't melt. So I'm going to cut relatively big pieces compared to what I normally, when I cook. So that's what it normally looks like. That's what it's going to look like in this case. So they're these big, nice pieces, This is what the average piece should look for the ragu that we're making like that. And all of this goes into nice big pot like this. So you have room, you know. And my eyes are tearing up already, which is a good thing. So that happens when you have onions at room temperature. That's always going to happen. So if this came out of the fridge, it wouldn't be as loose, the molecules, I guess, and they wouldn't be in the air. But this is so. In here, I'm gonna right off the bat, I'm gonna get my virgin olive oil. So again, this is really strong flavor. So and I kind of fries it, so I don't want to use too much of it. And I have regular olive oil in here, and then I'm gonna put some of that in there. And we're going to turn this on low for now. Just medium low, just so until we get things going. Alright, so we got the onion chopped up with the olive oil and the extra virgin olive oil. This is the pork, which is the base again of the ragu. This is pork tips with a lot of fat on it and some meat, so it's going to be nice when I'm going to put that right inside. And again, there's nothing else in here right now other than olive oil, the pork, and onions. And we're gonna let that saute for a tiny bit. You know, I don't know when the right time is to put salt and pepper. You know, I put it in the beginning, and then I occasionally, you know, follow up and put more if I need some. This is black pepper ground, nice. You know, you want your own. You don't want pepper that is already ground. You want, because this is the flavor pops out. I've been using this Himalayan pink salt. It seems like it tastes a lot better to me. I mean, I could be fooling myself. I don't know, but it also seems like it's a lot saltier. That might be all the salt I need. It might not be all the salt I need, but that's what I'm going with for now. We'll let this saute a minute and check back in a few minutes. We got this covered. Let's see what this looks like. It's only been like a few minutes. Looks good right now. It's got a nice smell to it. What you want to do, you want to go over and bring that smell to you. So you can, all right, that's the right smell, right? But what you really, the smell of the ragu that really is nice. White wine. People use red wine. They're wrong. White wine. Nice. Let that simmer there. The sugar from there. And then you always have to have a glass of the white wine when you're making it, because the alcohol just makes things better. Salute. All right, we're going to use some garlic now. You take the whole garlic bulb. You go like this, and something should break off. Well, it didn't break off that clear, but now we got a couple. I'm going to take a couple of these. I decided we're not going to put. Listen, every recipe, you know, my mom people used to ask my mom for recipes, and they still do, and you know, she said, I don't know, just you put whatever you know, however it tastes good, whatever. So that's kind of how I am. I'm not going to put any garlic in the meatballs, but I'm going to put some garlic in the sauce. Now remember before what I said about the size of things cooking differently? Right now we already have the onions cooking in there, so this is going to be much smaller pieces, so they go in later. Okay. Clean this off a little bit. And so this is like an average clove, and I'm going to cut this into maybe 4 pieces, 5 pieces. I'm not going to dice it, again, because you don't want every single bite of whatever you take to be saturated with garlic like the fake Italian Americans. You want the flavor to pop, you know? You want, oh, there's that flavor, oh, there's that flavor. So that's it. This is what I'm going to do. This handful, again, my hands are clean. Every time you touch anything that you're cooking with, always either use a towel, a rag that's not wet, or touch it first to see if it's hot, or both. So I'm going to throw this in there. And that's going to cook nice. I can smell already the white wine. It's such a difference between this stuff cooking with the white wine or without it, and that's the right flavor. Right now, since I have this open, I'm also going to throw in my Italian, not the oregano, I'm going to throw in Italian seasoning, which is partially oregano, there's probably some bay leaf in there, there's probably some other stuff. I don't know how much to put, and I might put more later, but we're going to put this much in there now. I'm going to stir it around. That is the right smell. I'm going to give this another 10 minutes like this, and then I'm going to throw my first can of tomato puree in there. All right, so this has been simmering. The pork and the onions have been simmering for about 10 minutes. I'm going to lower it, but I still want them to cook before I put the sauce in. In the meanwhile, we'll make the meatballs. So again, take off all your jewelry because the meatballs are fatty and greasy. In here, we have, you know what? Get yourself one of these bowls. I need a bigger one. I'll be right back. Mix the 3 meats. Again, pork, veal, and beef. That's the classic, meatloaf stuff. The classic, meatballs. And we're gonna spread it out already in here. And we're gonna add. So typically, everything, again, there's no recipes in what we're doing here. Just you make it up as it goes, kind of. You know what goes, you see how it works. So we're going to start off with 1 egg. I got these 2 eggs from my cousin, who's also a Mediterranean guy. He's Yugoslavian, Macedonian actually, sorry, but Macedonia doesn't exist anymore, so whatever. He has chickens in his backyard. They produce these, and I forget what they're called, something like Italian Easter egg chickens or something. And you can see this is almost blue, this is brown. We're going to use maybe 2 eggs, maybe 1. We're going to start with 1 and see how it goes. Because now it's all how hard you want the meatball, how soft you want it, how resilient you need it to be, how hard, whatever. All right, so typically you use twice as much breadcrumbs as you do cheese. So we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of Romano cheese. Never, ever, ever Parmesan, because that's for the fake Italians. Again, a lot of fake Italians out there. I'm just saying that because this is what we do it. I'm sure the other way is the exact same thing. It's just as good. And we're going to use the breadcrumbs. If you could make your own breadcrumbs, that's the best. You save the bread, it's stale. You put it in a paper bag. You let it dry. It doesn't go bad, and it doesn't have. It doesn't have anything in it. You can see already, obviously, this has a bunch of stuff in it. I don't know what it is, And so we put in 3 of those. We're going to put in 1.5 of these. So my director just told me that maybe I said the wrong thing. Basically, you want more cheese than breadcrumbs. So like 1 cheese, half a breadcrumb, or 3 cheeses, 1 breadcrumb. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, it's all to feel, and we're going to put salt and pepper in here as well. Again, fresh ground pepper, because, this is not too much work, and why wouldn't you do this? Salt, you don't put too much salt, but because the cheese is very salty, but you still need some salt in there. I do have a special ingredient in this bag that I'll show you real quick, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because this is, everybody's got a secret. And I'm going to do this. A little bit of this. And I'm not putting in any garlic because the sauce has garlic in it. Again, only fake Italian Americans put garlic in everything. And we're going to mix this by hand. This is what it looks like. It looks really nice. You're going to see how it goes. This is a very sticky process. The fat gets stuck on your hands and it doesn't come off. But this is the only way you could feel how dense the meatball is, So I only put 1 egg in here, and I put like 3 or 4 cheeses and half the breadcrumbs. So, can I make nice balls out of this without them being too? This is pretty nice because I like to have my meatballs like really soft and break through. And I think that this is it. I think that we don't need to do any further than this. All right, so see you in a minute. All right, so let's see. Before we make the meatballs, let's put some tomato puree and some other tomatoes in the sauce. Like, again, always take a dry towel to take the lids off because you will get burned. And this is just some tomato puree. I'm going to put that in there. I like to get, there's always stuff left over, and I like to get that in there too because why not? I mean, why be wasteful? Sometimes depending on how thick the sauce is or how thick it's not, I'll put water in here and put that in there too. But for now, let's use that. I'm also going to use, this is peeled plum tomatoes. And if you don't know what they look like, the skin is off and they've been sitting in like their own juice, and they're super juicy. I'm going to show you how juicy they are. My hands are clean because they're super juicy tomatoes, you know. But what this does is it kind of waters down. It waters down the sauce because it's in water, but it also makes it chunky because these are. And I'm going to put all these in here. There's about 10 of those in there. As I mix them up, I break them up too, so that way there's chunks of tomatoes in there. Now everything's cooking nice. The onions in there, the wine simmered down, salt, pepper, olive oil, garlic, and the onions. I'm going to put some more herbs in there. I'm also going to cut up some fresh tomatoes from my garden. That, you know, again, it just adds texture. You want to wash everything. It's like diversifying your portfolio, right? You don't put all your money into one thing, so you don't put all your flavors. You don't want them to all come out of one tomato can or one tomato source. It's important that you have different flavors to balance each other off. You know, at least I feel like that. It always comes out better when I use different kind of tomatoes and mix them all up. Like I said, you diversify, like your 401k. We're worldly people. We're educated. And there's some chopped up tomatoes, and I'm putting them in the ragu. And again, so what's in there? The tomatoes, the tomato puree, plum tomatoes, onions, garlic, salt, pepper. We're going to throw in some more Italian seasoning right now. And probably some more salt and pepper too, because you added so much sauce that now it all needs some flavoring on it. I also, and I'm going to add the red pepper at this time too, just to have a tiny bit of, and I'm going to use crushed red pepper because I forgot to crush my own stuff. But this is the same stuff here. Exact same red pepper you get in a pizzeria is the diabolique. It is the horn that you wear over your neck. And just a couple of those things. That way, every once in a while, somebody gets a little zinger, you know? All right, good deal. I said we don't work with recipes. Well, we really don't work with recipes because I just decided that we need a whole extra can of tomato puree. Because if I'm going to put meatballs in here, I need the meatballs to sit on something, and there's a lot of meat in there already, so there's no room for them. So, I'm going to put an extra thing of tomato puree. What does that mean? That means I have to add more salt, more pepper, more spices, because now there's more surface sauce, whatever, to cover. And there you go. It's been simmering for about an hour. We'll take our dry cloth and see this is really hot. Let's see how this looks. Let's see how it tastes. So one thing that let's see if we can zoom in here. Because there's so much meat in there, a lot of times these little pockets of grease are going to be, and you can take a ladle and kind of clean it out a little bit, you know. It's not necessary you take it all out because you want that for flavor, but then, and you see that's all grease, and I put it in, I saved my tomato can, and we use that as a holder, and we use that to put the extra grease in there too. So now we're going to taste this. We usually want to take a clean spoon because you don't want to use a spoon that has been used. You can taste this. You know, it's delicious, but I always want a little bit more salt, and it's probably wrong to do that, but I'm going to put some more salt and some more pepper and a little bit more Italian seasoning, and let it go for another hour or so. Stir this up a little bit. When we're ready to do it, I got water over here. I'm gonna boil the water. I'm gonna cook it with some penne rigate, and then I'll show you the final product. So we have boiling water. I don't know how much it is. I'm sure on the box it tells you how much you do, and I don't pay attention to that. Nice Italian pasta. You know, you want a name brand that you recognize, that you've seen before. Otherwise, the consistency is weird. As soon as you put it in there, you know, I'm making way too much. I always make it. It's going to stop boiling. You want to stir it immediately because otherwise it sticks to the bottom. Some people put olive oil in there. That doesn't do a thing because the olive oil is separate from the water, so it never attaches to to the pasta. I don't know what that's about. I put in salt at this time. Some people put it in later, but I put it in now. I use this salt because I don't have really fine Himalayan salt. You know, my mother always did this. That's how much you put in, whatever that is. And that should be for 10 minutes, and it'll come out al dente. All right, so that's been 10 minutes for al dente. You know, that's the only time I really follow recipe directions because I never get it right with the al dente, not the al dente. Again, this stuff is super hot. I'm going to strain it. Strainer sitting in the sink. This is off now. Keep your face out of the way of smoke because the steam itself is super hot. It's very easy to get hard with steam because it goes right through your pores. And I'll show you how to plate this now. Pasta, you want to use a nice colorful dish. Put your pasta there. Like I said, one chunk of pork and a meatball, at least for everybody. And there you go. And I'm going to taste it. What's the point if you don't taste it, right? How nice that looks inside. Super hot. Good stuff. That's how you make ragu with meatballs. Buon appetito.